What is going on, team? Is your friend Austin here with AP Space, and today we're going to import a part from Ultra Librarian to OrCAD CIS Capture 25.1. And we are also going to import the symbol and footprint and show you guys how to configure the part correctly in OrCAD X 25.1. So, to begin, you're going to make a new project and we're going to do everything from the very beginning. So, we'll go to File, New, Projects, and we are going to create a new folder. And we are just going to call this folder test 5. And then we select that folder. And we create the project. And what we can do here is edit the schematic, and we can change the name of the page, call this page 00, and initialize the page to page 0. We can edit the page dimension. So I typically standardize everything in millimeters, size A4, and then we are ready to go. And then the part we're going to be importing is a @sam D20E16A-MNT. So this is a microchip technology microcontroller, and we're importing the microcontroller today. So we copy the part number from DigiKey. We go to Ultra Librarian. And we have the part there. And we go to download, and then we select cadence, and we want the OrCAD Capture v17.4 plus and the OrCAD / Allegro PCB Editor 17.4 plus. And then once those two boxes are selected, we log in to download and we sign in with our login. And then we can download the part. And as we wait to download the part, we can edit our parts folder, or create our parts folder rather. So we need to go to AP space and then test, and then we're on test 5. We create a new folder and we just put all this in the parts folder. Now we have a parts folder, and then the download's complete. We go to downloads. You can delete the UL in front of the part name, and then we copy the folder to parts folder. We paste that. We extract all. And then we are extracted into the parts folder. And now what we need to do is import the part itself. So we'll save all that jazz and we go to File, Open, Library. And we need to navigate to our AP Space test 5 folder. We go to Parts, and then we go to OrCAD Capture OLB, and then we open that up, and we go to this symbol, place part, or you can click P. We'll just click on the symbol, and then we click on the page itself to ungray everything. We add library part, and then we go to our same folder. So we place the part folder in AP space, tests, test 5, parts, and then we select that. We open that up. Then there's our part. And that is all there is to it. There's just that one part. And now we are not quite finished because we need to copy and paste the Allegro PCB footprint to the appropriate location. And we need all of that. We copy, and we need to paste this into the C drive, Cadence, OrCAD X 25.1, share, PCB library, symbols, and then all of the folders are now there, and we now should have that footprint there. And there we have it. We imported the microcontroller symbol and footprint successfully into OrCAD X. Now, if we would like to place the part into a layout, what we need to do now, since we have a part there, is we need to generate a net list. So, but before we generate a net list, we make sure that this is very important. So make sure that you're able to double click on the part, and then make sure that the PCB footprint name here matches the .dra file, which is this. So this string of characters needs to be the same as this. It's usually the same, but that's not always the case. So if you're having trouble, then make sure the PCB footprint name matches the .dra file name. This needs to match with this. So now that we have that fully covered, we want to create a netlist, so we can go to click on this here, and then we go to create netlist after we re-click on the project, and then we select OK. Do you want to create it? Yes, we want to create the netlist. The netlist is generated, which what that just did was it created a Allegro folder in the test 5 folder. And what we want to do now is we want to go to PCB, new layout, and select OK. And what we want to do now is we want to add grids and try and standardize everything. as far as the setup for the layout. So what we want to here is go to design parameters. We are going to use millimeters, and we're going to have the size of the page be A4. And what we need to do now is we need to add the grids. So we can go to the grids tab. We can make sure we click apply on millimeter and A4. And after we click apply, we go to OK. And then we go to grids and we select the box for grids on. And then the grids are going to be every 0.1 millimeter. And our offsets all going to be 0. And all of the spacing is 0.1 for everything. So apply that, we select OK, and that will greatly help us organize our project. So that's a fairly important step. And what we need to do now is place a shape. So we want to go to shape, rectangle, and it's in board geometry, design outline. Board geometry, design outline, and we can make just a little PCB, make it 50 millimeters by 50 millimeters, and then we select round on the PCB size, we select chamfer, and then make the chamfer dimension 5 millimeters, and then the width and the height of the board is 50 millimeters. And then you see we have our grid, and where our cursor is correlating to where we are basically. And I like to typically go to a nice even number like 100 and 100 to make everything, to make the math all nice and neat, and so that we are organized on our grid. And then once we are at 100, or coordinate 100 and 100, we place that, we select done, and now we can go to place components manually, and then we can select U1, and then we can put U1 right in the middle of the board. We can go 125 and 75, 125 and 75, so we're right in the middle. Okay, so now we have actually created a net list. We went into OrCAD PCB standard and we made a board outline and we placed our part. And the last thing that you may need to know is that if you are having trouble importing, and if your settings are out of whack, then this is where it is. So it's in user preferences editor, and I need to make sure we have all this configured correctly. So here's where we are. This is essentially what we need to make sure we have. And when you update your OrCAD X, this actually is something that got reset on my settings and I needed to actually redo this. So what we need to do is we need to go to File. No, excuse me, we don't need to go there. It's Setup, User Preferences. You go to Paths, you go to Library, and then you go to PSM Path, and you need to make sure that your Cadence OrCAD X 25.1 share slash PCB library slash symbols is in there, and that should fix the problem. And we're standardizing that all of our parts are going to go in this folder. I also added my I also added that path to the pad path. So PSM path and pad path, I made sure was selecting the symbols folder in this file path. So that should fix the problem if you're running into an import error when you're in layout. And that is how you import a part from Ultra Librarian to OrCAD CIS Capture 25.1. And you guys all have a wonderful day.